Okay, got another fun all-nighter down at the shop tonight. So I'm wearing the headlamp, so I hope you can see. Hope that isn't distracting, but anyway, let's jump in here and see what I've done. You can see I still have the column cut out to add the new assembly that's over there that I showed in another video. And yeah, there's a lot going on with various parts and pieces. But anyway, let's take a look in here. So I don't like the Coyote throttle assembly. I think, hold on, let me move my headlamp here so I can see a little better. Is that better? Okay, I didn't like the throttle assembly where you cut up all the plastic parts and it's barely hanging on by a thread. I don't know, man, I didn't like it. So, you know, for those of you that used it, I'm sure it worked out fine for you, but that's just not my thing. I don't like it. So like anything, I decided I would make something different. So what I have in here is a throttle assembly from a Honda. It's actually a part that was meant to convert a pull cable to drive-by-wire. It wasn't really meant to have a pedal mounted to it like you see here, so I made all that. I'm going to take this out of the car in a moment, put it on the bench, but you can kind of see, if I put this down here, you can kind of see how the mechanism, how the mechanism works. Right, the pedal, this is actually the part from the Factory 5 kit pedal. That's the only part I used, was just this pedal pad. I probably could have made that too, but I just didn't. This is tilting pedals in here, and I might actually put a narrow pad on the brake. I'm not 100% sure yet. But as you can see, this is just temporary. You can see it's a little flimsy. That's just a test part that I have in there because I wanted to try a couple different things. But you can see the mechanism will go all the way to the floor, doesn't hit the sheet metal. It's got a little bit of clearance. And I may adjust that a little more. Maybe I'll switch to a straight pedal instead of this angled one. That might help a little bit more. And maybe I'll go to the narrow tilt and pedal pad and put that over here. I might do that. I haven't quite decided yet. But yeah, so the intent was to give myself a nice comfortable pedal and give myself the drive-by-wire assembly. I don't have a Coyote motor or the 5-liter 4-cam. I hate calling it that. The Coyote motor, just to call it what it is. But I have a pushrod motor in this car. However, I'm going to use drive-by-wire just because I want cruise control. And in a prior video I showed, there's my cruise control mechanism back there. That is the Mustang cruise control, kind of fit into this car. And while that totally would 100% work, do the job, pull the cable and all that kind of stuff, I don't know, I just wanted to try playing around with this. So there's some other things drive-by-wire does for you. And I think I'm going to put a Mark 60 ABS in this car, so BMW type Mark 60. And I want to get the wheel speed and also use the traction control, so when the Mark 60 commands torque reduction, if I have a cable throttle, there's no way to utilize that functionality. Anyway, so that's that. I'm going to pull this out of the car now so you can get a better look at it. Okay, so here's the Keenan assembly. Like I said, this is an OEM part from a Honda. I just modified it to do what we're showing here. So here's my pedal assembly with the spring function retained. And then this is my temporary arm. As you can see, it's kind of flimsy. This is just 16 gauge. This was my first prototype arm that I built. And I built it with some adjustments so that I could adjust the angle of the assembly. And then I found out I was just too far off. I ended up having to change the angle here and change the angle here and kind of completely change the design. Looks similar, but definitely not similar. So this is a little close-up of the Keenan Honda assembly. So it's a cast aluminum component. It has a stop built in up here. And it originally, in this area where there's now space, and my thicker pedal assembly is going to go in, or my pedal arm is going to go in here once I make that part. You can see there's a spacer down in here. Here, I'll get the screwdriver. This spacer down in here was part of the original Honda assembly. And in this area where there's a gap now, there was originally a piece welded here where this assembly could bail up a cable, right? So it was meant to have a throttle pedal, pull a cable, and the cable would bail up inside of this, and it would rotate this assembly, which has a return spring here, and then it has a dual TPS. So this is a clockwise, counterclockwise dual TPS for drive-by-wire. So It would give you 2 TPS signals if you need that. And this is mostly unmodified. I flipped this sensor around backwards. Normally the electrical connector is facing the other way, but there's enough slop in the mechanism that you can take the guts of this thing, the thing that turns the TPS, and spin it around 180 degrees in there. There's another return spring, not for the TPS, but another spring like this, a big spring inside here. So there's a small spring in here that is providing tension, and then there's this larger spring that's providing tension to return the pedal. So it's got 2 throttle return springs inside here, and then plus a little teeny tiny spring that returns the TPS. I'm not sure that you would even really truly need that, but that's the way Honda chose to build it. So this assembly is really neat. I didn't have to make this. I bought it. I cut off just the baling section by drilling out the spot welds, and then I made an arm, and I also made a mounting bracket you see here. This is just a mild steel piece that allows me to bolt the casting on, and those 2 holes right there, the 2 open holes, are the holes in the Factory 5 car, right? So in the factory bracket that would normally mount to the Coyote pedal, or whatever it's supposed to go there. I suppose it's also the this low car. This is the low car pedal assembly. I stole the screws out of it, but that bolt pattern right there is also the same as this. So you don't have to modify the car, which worked out pretty nice. And so as you can see, you know, this mechanism is relatively simple the way it works, but it works really nice. And I know it looks like it has a lot of pedal force. I actually, like I said, increased the pedal force by putting an extra wind on the spring because I liked the way that felt better. And that's it. It's a pretty neat little mechanism. And then in the background, this is actually the yaw sensor from a Mark 60 BMW ABS. So I'll probably do some videos about installing that here in the future. So hopefully that gives guys some ideas. What could you maybe do if you want to get drive-by-wire but not use the plastic pedal? Like I said, I didn't like the plastic pedal, but you know, certainly it works. I don't know if this would work with the Coyote or not. I don't know what the TPS range of the dual TPS is in the future. When I figure that out, I'll post that information, but since I'm not going to use a Ford ECU, it doesn't really matter what it is. All right, anyway, so hopefully that gives somebody some ideas.